Gillette Stadium is the Week 6 host of Sunday Night Football, where the 3-2 New England Patriots, led by future Hall of Famer Tom Brady, look for their third straight win as they enter the game in first place in the AFC East and take on a wounded Chiefs team without Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce in this one. Chad Henne, 11th year man out of Michigan, leading the Chiefs offense, so we expected to see a heavy dose of the run game, and early on that's exactly what we got, as on the first play of the game, Kareem Hunt takes the carry up the middle and picks up 10 and a first down. 2 plays later, it's Hunt again taking off the left side this time and picking up 9 near the marker. Chiefs across midfield now, and it's former Dolphin Damian Williams picking up 8 on the ground, and as the ground game continues to chug right along. But 2 plays later, on 3rd and 2, Kareem Hunt is stuffed, which would bring up 4th down, but the Patriots accept the block and the back penalty, backing up the Chiefs and forcing Chad Henne to throw on 3rd and 12, where he escapes the pocket to his left, looks like he's gonna run, but then fires downfield and right into the hands of Devin McCourty, who picks it off and brings it back to the Patriot 29. First play after the turnover, the give goes to James White off the left side, who jukes inside, then gets back outside and up the sideline for 16 yards. 2 plays later, Brady looks to throw and finds his favorite target, Rob Gronkowski, who turns into Super Gronk, avoiding 2 tacklers to be on his way to a 53-yard touchdown, and says, "Get off me," to one last tackler before an emphatic Gronk spike and a 7-0 Patriot lead. Later in the first, 3rd and 17, and the Patriots convert as Brady hits Julian Edelman for 19 yards to move the chains. But 3 plays later, 3rd down, and again Brady looking for Edelman, but this time it's Eric Murray intercepting the pass and bringing it back to midfield as the Chiefs take over. First play after the pick, Henne with the play fake and fires to Tyreek Hill, who makes the catch and spins his way to a 19-yard gain. Next play, the Chiefs go back to the ground, and Hunt, who has another big hole, and picks up 9 more to the 22. Then on 3rd and 7, Henne looks to throw but steps up and out of the pocket on his way to an 8-yard gain as he slides down beyond the marker to move the chains. And 2 plays later, Henne looking to throw again, and this time he does throw as he goes to the end zone, where he finds Tyreek Hill for his 6th touchdown of the year. And despite the early turnover, the Chiefs backups bounce back and tie this one at 7 late in the first quarter. First play of the ensuing drive, and Brady rolls to his left before turning back around and firing a dart to Julian Edelman for 18 yards and a first down. Second quarter now, 2nd and 17, and it's Brady back to Super Gronk, who makes the catch, breaks a tackle, and needs a pair of Chiefs to be pushed out of bounds for a 19-yard gain. But on 3rd and 7, Brady looks to throw and fires for the end zone, and Julian Edelman can't hold on to the pass, and the Patriots end up with a field goal and a 10-7 lead. Chiefs looking to respond as Chad Henne play fakes and rolls to his right before firing on the move and hitting a wide open Tyreek Hill for 24 yards to the Chiefs 44. 2 plays later, it's Henne with the play fake again, and this time he's able to find a diving Tyreek Hill, who makes the catch for 16 yards and a first down. But after a penalty pushes the Chiefs back, Henne's able to get them back in field goal range, hitting Sammy Watkins for the 12-yard catch, setting up a 50-yard field goal by Harrison Butker, and this game would be tied at 10 going into half. But not before, with just over a minute to go. Chiefs looking to just run the clock out, and the give goes to Kareem Hunt, who is hit for no gain, and he ends up staying down, clutching his shoulder. He would end up heading to the locker room and would not return to this game, and we'll have an update on his status following these highlights. So 3rd quarter now, Patriots at midfield, and it's Brady to Gronk one more time to take him over 100 yards receiving with the 16-yard catch. Next play, Chiefs bring the blitz, but it doesn't get home. Brady moves to his right and hits Chris Hogan over the middle for 23 yards and another first down to the Chiefs 12, where from 12 yards out, James White takes it up the middle, puts a move on Ron Parker, and scores the touchdown to put the Patriots up 17-10. 5 minutes later, 3rd and 4, and Brady throws quick to Gronkowski, who plucks it away from Reggie Ragland and turns into a human tow truck, pulling Chiefs for a gain of 15 yards. Next play, the Patriots cross midfield as Brady looks and finds Chris Hogan on the curl for 13 yards and another first down. Chiefs defense would get a stop though, as on 3rd and 9, Brady looks and fires, and it's nearly intercepted by Eric Berry. Holding on the Patriots gets declined by Kansas City, thinking they wouldn't attempt the field goal, but out comes Steven Gostkowski, and from 57 yards out, the kick fake isn't even close, so the Chiefs with a great opportunity to get back into this one. And on the first play, Henny with the play fake, and he wants it all, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, and he throws it into unbelievably heavy coverage, and it's Eric Rowe picking it off. Holding on the Chiefs would be declined, and the Pats take right back over. Fourth quarter now, and Brady and the Patriot offense back to rolling as he hits Dwayne Allen over the middle for 23 yards to the New England 38. 2 plays later, Chiefs bring the blitz, nobody gets home, and Brady again finds Gronkowski for a big play, 19 yards and a first down. And on the next play, a complete defensive breakdown leaves linebacker Anthony Hitchens matched up with wide receiver Philip Dorsett, and you know Brady is going to find that as he hits the former Colt first rounder for the 35-yard score to push the lead up to 14. First play after the score, and the Chiefs immediately enter New England territory as Henny hits Demetrius Harris over the middle, who runs over Devin McCourty, picking up 28. But 4 plays later, the Chiefs down 14 decide to go for it. Henny looks to throw, but pulls a Blake Bortles and fires it off the back of his lineman's head for the turnover on downs. Patriots take over, and the backup quarterback for the Chiefs picks the worst possible time to show his displeasure with the men up front. And the Patriots would immediately respond as Brady fakes the inside give and gets phenomenal protection from his line before he corks one deep that finds Julian Edelman at the 22 before he's tackled at the 21. Next play, Brady continues to deal, finding Chris Hogan for 13 yards to set up first and goal. But 2 plays later, Brady looks to throw, moves to his right, and right into the arms of Ron Parker for the sack, and the drive would result in a Steven Gostkowski 27-yard field goal and a 27-10 lead. Chiefs continue to fight as on 2nd and 22, Henny hits Tyreek Hill over the middle, who spins his way forward and picks up 15. Then on 3rd down, it's Henny to his other receiver, Sammy Watkins, over the middle for a pickup of 20 across midfield. Next play, it's Henny going back to Hill, and with great protection, he finds him over the middle for a big gain of 26 yards, putting the Chiefs in the red zone. But 3 plays later, Patriots bring the blitz, nowhere to throw, and Henny gets hit as he throws, which results in a fumble and a Chiefs turnover, which would spell the end of this one. And so on a night where the Chiefs come in already down Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they lose Kareem Hunt just before half, and just too much to overcome for Kansas City as they fall 27-10 to the Patriots. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski go off as Brady throws for 380 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Gronk racks up 10 catches and 148 yards receiving. Chiefs await the status of Kareem Hunt, but it looks like they could be without their starting quarterback, running back, and tight end as they head home to face the winless Bengals, while the now 4-2 Patriots head on the road to face the 2-3 Bears in Chicago. All right, guys, so we lose that game to fall to 3-3, dealt a tough hand right off the bat with no Mahomes and no Kelce, and then halfway through that one, I lose Kareem Hunt as well, so it just keeps piling up. Everything was pretty good up until then, though. Went into half tied at 10, but then got outscored 17-0 in the second half, and didn't and couldn't really run the ball at all. Had no answers for Gronk, obviously, and then 5 turnovers, and you're never going to win a game like that. But like I mentioned, Kareem Hunt goes down, and it's going to be the infamous shoulder tear, and he's going to be out for 4 weeks. Injuries really starting to take their toll, as you can see, with now our starting quarterback, running back, and tight end out for multiple weeks. I'm not going to make a roster move for at least this week. I still have 2 backs on the roster, and then Anthony Sherman if worse comes to worse. But things getting pretty rough offensively as we're going to be without Mahomes, Hunt, and Kelce for our next game. And one thing before I get into the roster stuff, this was actually the first game that I played on the October patch, and if you guys didn't know, there was a change to the illegal block and the back penalties, which made them actually happen. And the slider set that I was using actually had that penalty at 75, and I kept it out of the highlights for the most part, but I probably had around 10, maybe even more block and the back penalties during that game, so I absolutely have to change that slider. Now, I was going to drop it to 50 because at 50 it's supposed to only get called a certain amount of times per game, but I've already seen people saying that even even at 50, they're seeing it an abnormal amount of times. So I'm going to go down to 45, hoping that it won't be an issue. And if it is, then I'll just kick it down to 0 and reevaluate at the end of the season. But I'm hoping 45 will work for now. But moving on, there was only one new negotiation this week, and it was cornerback Steven Nelson, who we signed to a 3-year, $12 million deal with $4.35 million guaranteed. He was looking for $11.6 million and just over $4 million guaranteed over 3 years. So I bumped it up a little bit. Nelson isn't a great player by any means, but he's decent, and cornerback is still something that I'm going to be looking to upgrade. But with getting rid of Scandrick, I think, as you guys saw last video, I don't want to find myself in desperate need of a corner, so locking him up will at least allow me to keep things mostly the same while also allowing me to still add through the draft or free agency. On to scouting and draft stories, where we had a pair of new tweets this week. One from Todd McShay, which reads, "What do we make of LaMarcus McCoon? I've had him as high as the #1 DB on my mock, but changes from week to week." And then one from Matt Miller that says, "Very rough patch for Clay Brooks, should still be drafted, but NFL defenses have a blueprint on how to cover him." And so we went and we found them, and LaMarcus McCoon was a strong safety who, despite his second round true talent, doesn't look very impressive with 3 C+s, but I may be underestimating him. And then Leonard Claybrooks is a tight end from Georgia, and he doesn't look too bad, but second round projection and a 4th round true talent holds true to the tweet. And then also making the draft board is going to be Carrington Peterson, who is a defensive tackle out of Washington, and then also Rashard Simon, who is a corner out of Louisville, projected to be a 3rd rounder. But with that, it's time to go around the CFM and look at what else happened in week 6, which kicked off on Thursday night with the Eagles taking down the Giants 28-10. On to Sunday, where the Buccaneers upset the Falcons for their first win of the year. Panthers use overtime to beat the Redskins. Seahawks squeak by the Raiders. Colts exact some Super Bowl III revenge on the Jets. Cardinals go on the road and for the second time this year destroy an expected playoff team. First in week 2, beating the Rams 45-7, and now beating the Vikings 42-17. Steelers beat the Bengals, and the Chargers get shut out by the Browns on the road. Bills over Texans. Bears big over the Dolphins. Rams take down the Broncos. Titans beat the Ravens at home. Cowboys edge the Jaguars. And then on Monday night, the Packers take down the 49ers 24-13. So as we look at the AFC standings, starting in the East with the Patriots win over us and the Dolphins loss to the Bears, New England takes over first place all by itself. Bills sit 2 games back with the Jets, 3 back at 1-5. To the north, the Steelers and Browns. Yes, the Browns are tied for first at 4-2 with the Ravens at 2-4 and the winless Bengals in last. To the south, we see a similar situation where the Jaguars and Titans sit tied at 4-2 at the top. The Colts a game back at 3-3. And then a real surprise with the Texans sitting at 0-6 on the year. Then to the west, everybody loses, so the Broncos and Chargers remain at the top, while we sit a game back, and the Raiders at 2-4 sit all alone in the basement known as last place. Moving to the NFC, the East is still anybody's to win, as first and last are only separated by 2 games at the moment. The 5-1 Eagles lead the way, but the 4-2 Cowboys and 3-2 Redskins are close behind. To the north, the Packers have opened up a 2-game lead over the Vikings and a 2.5-game lead over the Bears, while the Lions are off to a disappointing 1-4 start. The South finds the Panthers at 4-1 at the top. The Falcons lose to the Bucks, giving them their first win and dropping Atlanta to 3-3 and only a half game ahead of the Saints, who were on a bye. And then lastly, out west, the Rams and Seahawks are at the top at 4-2, but the Cardinals are 3-3, 1 game back, and the 49ers at 2-4 still have a shot, only 2 games back. The Week 6 AFC Offensive Player of the Week goes to Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Blake Bortles. Bortles completed 70% of his passes Sunday, throwing for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns. However, his award-winning performance was not enough, as his Jaguars fell to the Cowboys in Dallas by a score of 27-24. On the NFC side, running back David Johnson went wild in Minnesota as he racked up 151 yards on the ground, averaging almost 9 yards per carry, and last but certainly not least, 3 rushing touchdowns. Johnson also threw in 2 catches for 38 yards, with 1 going for a score, giving him 4 total on the day to help the Cardinals roll over the Vikings 42-17. On the defensive side, it was a New England Patriot taking the award as Jawan Bentley takes it home for the AFC. Bentley did it all against us in our Sunday night loss, notching 12 tackles, 1 for loss, as well as a sack with a forced and recovered fumble. The 74 overall linebacker was taken with the 6th pick of the 5th round in this past year's draft. Meanwhile, on the NFC side, it was the 14th overall pick from the 2005 NFL Draft, with the Panthers' Thomas Davis taking home the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. The linebacker in his 14th year also did a little bit of everything, as he had 10 tackles, 1 for loss, along with a sack and an interception to help his Panthers get an overtime win over the Redskins and push Carolina to 4-1 on the year. Moving on to the league leaders, Tom Brady returns from his 1-week hiatus as the passing yardage leader. Brady's 380 yards against us on Sunday night returned him to the top of the list, as Marcus Mariota falls to second, 47 yards ahead of rookie Sam Darnold, with the Falcons' Matt Ryan and Offensive Player of the Week Blake Bortles rounding out the list. As for passing touchdowns, it's once again Tom Brady at the top, but also tied with the Eagles' Carson Wentz for the league lead with 17 touchdown passes. Blake Bortles sits alone behind them with 14, while 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo and Packers signal caller Aaron Rodgers are below him, among others, tied with 13 passing scores. Ezekiel Elliott seems poised to take the rushing title as he continues to extend his lead and torrid pace, where as of now he's set to rush for nearly 1,900 yards at his current pace. Le'Veon Bell sits at second, with NFC Offensive Player of the Week David Johnson just 12 yards behind, and then rounding out the top 5 is our own Kareem Hunt, who's going to miss the next 4 weeks, and then 1 yard behind him is beast mode Marshawn Lynch with 548 yards. Todd Gurley continues to lead the way in rushing touchdowns with 7 on the year. Devontae Freeman has tightened the gap as he moves into second with 6 rushing scores, while Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, and once again at the bottom of the top 5, Marshawn Lynch, all sit 1 behind him with 5 rushing touchdowns through 6 weeks. Rookie Marquez Valdez-Scantling continues to have an impressive rookie season as he leads his team and the league in receptions with 40 through 6 games. Alshon Jeffrey and John Ross are right on his heels with 39 catches, and trailing them by 2 are a pair of AFC East receivers in the Patriots' Julian Edelman and the Jets' Jermaine Kearse. Jamison Crowder led the league after week 1 with 2 touchdown catches, and after week 6 he leads the league in receiving yards as the only receiver over the 500-yard mark. Our own Tyreek Hill is 21 shy of the mark with 479 yards, while former receiving yards leader Quincy Enunwa is 7 yards behind him. Sitting at 4th and 5th are Alshon Jeffrey with 470 yards and Julian Edelman with 468 yards. As for receiving touchdowns, both Tyreek Hill and Keelan Cole added 1 to their total in week 6, giving them both 6 on the year and a tie for the league lead. Among others tied with 5 touchdown catches on the year are Alshon Jeffrey, Dede Westbrook, and Broncos rookie 2nd-round draft pick Courtland Sutton. To the defensive side of things, Sean Lee is now tied for the league lead in tackles with the Texans' Zach Cunningham. Mark Barron of the Rams sits at 3rd with 44 tackles, while Bobby Wagner sits behind him with 42. And rounding out the top 5 is former Chief and last week's Defensive Player of the Week Derek Johnson of the Raiders. On to sacks, Joey Bosa continues to lead the way with 8 despite not registering a sack in his game against the Browns. Khalil Mack added 1 to his total to move him into 2nd place, 1 behind Bosa, while Von Miller was also shut out and is now tied with the Packers' Kenny Clark and Cardinals' Chandler Jones with 6.5 sacks. The trio at the top of the interception leaderboard is now a quartet as Terrell Edmonds of the Steelers picked off his 3rd pass of the season in the Steelers' 31-14 win over the Bengals. Edmonds joins Casey Hayward, John Johnson, and Tramon Williams as the only defenders in the league with 3 picks, and Adrian Colbert wins the RNG lottery to become the one of many players with 2 interceptions to appear in the top 5. Looking forward to the Week 7 schedule, things get started as always on Thursday night with the Cardinals hosting the Broncos. Moving to Sunday, the Titans and Chargers play overseas in London, and then we face off against the 0-6 Bengals with no Mahomes, no Hunt, and no Kelsey. The 4-2 Browns head to Tampa Bay. The game of the week is certainly the 4-1 Panthers traveling to Philadelphia to take on the 5-1 Eagles. The Vikings head to New York to take on the Jets. Dolphins host the Lions, and the Bears host the Patriots. Bills at Colts. The 0-6 Texans look for their first win as they travel to Jacksonville. Saints at Ravens and Cowboys at Lions. And then on Sunday night, the Rams head to Santa Clara to face the San Francisco 49ers. And on Monday night, the 3-3 Falcons host the 3-3 Giants in a game that could have major implications in the NFC playoff race down the line. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up the video and week 6 of our Chiefs franchise. Despite the records, we have an interesting matchup next video as we take on the winless Bengals. They're 0-6, but as I just mentioned, we're going to be without Mahomes, Hunt, and Kelsey, so we might be in a bit of trouble, but join me next video to find out what happens as well as what else is going on in week 7 around my CFM. I appreciate you guys tuning in and hope you're enjoying the highlights, commentary, and news from around my CFM. Chiefs Bengals next video, but until then, thanks for watching.